Here we go then with this week's stretch routine, focusing on the lower body, area that always gets worked really hard, always gets really tight, whether you're doing more cardio, conditioning based exercise or training in the gym. It's an area we can all push hard on, but subsequently we have the aches and the recovery that is needed is going to be maybe a little bit more focused. So that's what we're going to look at today. Now, if you are sore and tight, good time to stretch is actually after you've done a bit of movement. And a good test also is to do one particular stretch or movement and then come back to it after you've stretched and see if that's any easier, any better, if it's eased off. So starting with movement, we're going to do 10 squats up and down. And on that 10th one, we're going to take it down to a nice stretch and just hold in there. Let the body weight just drop you into the hips a little bit more. And this is our point of reference to come back to after our little routine to see if that then feels any easier in terms of the tightness of the muscles. Okay, adding another movement, we're going to do 10 nicely controlled reverse lunges. Just stepping back, allowing the quads to stretch as we step back, and the hamstrings and the glutes just nice and slow. If the range of movement isn't as good as it can be, then we're just aiming to increase that slightly as we go through. Great job. Okay, focusing through the back of the body first. You're going to get down and then come up with the hips up high. Now, a nice little cycle through the downward dog. This is going to help with the calf stretch. It's going to help with the glutes and the hamstrings and round into the lower back. All connected. All work together to move. And then this is a great way to get them to feel the stretch all together as well. One stretch, tight area affecting another, and we're just going to ease that off right there. So I'm just feeling that across into each leg to get a nice stretch at a time. I'm going to take that forward again, and then come through again. There we go. And just cycling through the heels to start the stretch, keeping the hips up nice and high. There we go. Really good. Alright, taking this over, still focusing on the back of the body, the back of the legs, in the hamstrings. So one leg nicely up, and then bringing this leg up straight as we can. Now you might be further forward, might be more comfortable to hold a towel just around the lower leg up here to get into this position. We're just holding this leg nice and straight, stretching again, more focus onto the hamstrings this time. Really good. Down to the side. And if you find in one of these particular positions, one of these stretches is really helpful, then repeat it again. And when they're on one side at a time, so do both sides. To progress this stretch, you can take the spare leg out that little bit further, just changing the positioning of the hips. As long as they're nice and flat still, that's going to create more of a stretch. having this other leg out. Really good. To the side and up. Oh, yeah. Really nice. Really stretch it in. Okay. Sticking in this position, we're going to bring the quads into a stretch. I'm actually going to try and grab the back of my trainers, pull myself up nice and tight, and then up into a glute bridge. But the glute bridge being with the heels as close as they are underneath me, this is going to mean that the quads are now stretching. So just aiming, just keep everything in line, and then bring that quad stretch up nicely. Really good. Ease that out and back in again if you want an extra stretch. So as I said before, repeating these stretches if there's a good one in a good position. So now we're going to go to a couple of different positions with the kneeling. So we're kneeling up first, we're having a good stretch here at the front with the hip flexors, the top of the quad, so just stretch the kind of main part. Now we're up near the attachment that goes across the hip here, rather than focus on the knee flexion, we're stretching forward. And then from here, if we just relax that a little tiny bit, we're going to reach inside, and this stretch, bring the body in here, is going to then focus round onto the glute on the bent leg at the front now. Really good stretch for that. And then swap inside. Do a hip flexor stretch again. Up here. Really good. And then just rolling that in again. So that nice tight area. Okay, bringing that up, and then good test again is to go back to that squat stretch. So see if that is now feeling that little bit easier from where we started. The quad's got a bit more movement, not feeling quite as tight. It's easier to sit back into the glutes. There we go. Ease that up. So there we go, lower body stretch routine. Also important to say, with recovery, movement, just general movement can help get things going again. Keep hydrated, make sure you have a nice balance of salt intake, because we sweat a lot out, and that also affects how muscles work and how tight they feel. So excess salt is never an issue if hydration is also at a good level as well. Our body processes it and then gets rid of what it doesn't need. So those are all the things just to think about in terms of recovery as you train and exercise week to week, day to day. And as always, any other help or support I can give, please give me a shout.